Want to go. Hello, everybody in Facebook Live land. We are the Podguyz podcast, bringing it to you live as we do every Monday, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Tony Cass.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, we are still missing the Picasso, the doer of do's and don'ts, the Le Picasso. He is still at camp, far, far away in Never Never Land. Ugh. Who knows where the Sparky may be?
For all of you that were wondering, Sparky was not the shooter, okay?
He was
Coincidental that
definitely
he was
not.
on vacation around that time, but totally exonerated of all charges. They got a hold of his phone and has been released him from custody, so he might have some other stuff coming his way. Not sure.
But we are joined by a third square today. We have the impeccably dressed, all in red, as you may see, the beautiful Larry Roberts.
What's happening, fellas? Appreciate you having me here tonight, man.
Oh, you are one sexy devil.
I try.
Now,
I try.
Now, I don't know. I don't know if you know this, Larry, but
Uh-oh.
we have a long past together. We do have a long past.
Oh, yeah?
We do. But
okay.
You may not know it. You may not
okay.
know it. But
so far, I don't.
You don't. You may know, but you may not know.
Okay.
You were my muse when I first got into the podcasting world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's I appreciate that. That's I guess that's a compliment. Is that a compliment?
I take it as
you may. Out myself. I'm like.
And the only reason why I say that in particular was that when I was first starting out and I first did a comedy podcast, I had a lot of questions.
Yep.
And I had a lot of I needed information. And you were one of two major podcasting helpers at that point in time. So, kudos to you for helping out the lonely.
I'm glad I could. That's awesome.
Lonely guy.
No, I love that because my first podcast was a comedy podcast, and you probably know that from back in the day. I didn't get to keep that podcast because I was still in corporate America, and they eventually gave me the rundown of either it's going to be the show or you're going to go. Which is it?
Ooh.
And at the time, I wasn't prepared to make that choice. But to this day, I still miss that show. It was by far my most successful podcast, by far my most fun podcast. And it was such a creative podcast, it was just a ton of fun. I loved it. And I've thought about sometimes maybe just going back and doing a reunion of that show, getting a couple of my co-hosts, because I went through a couple over the years we were doing it, because life gets in the way from time to time. But I've thought about trying to put something together and bring back the tip for one more round.
Well, while you're always trying to tip your red hat into the ring, sir.
Oh, there you go.
From Red Hat Media, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's my company, Red Hat Media. Ended up starting that back in 2017. And eventually, come January of 2021, was able to walk away from that company that made me quit my first podcast
to do podcasting McDonald's, full time. Damn you.
Yeah. I could finally stop flipping burgers and podcast. I got a real job. So, but no, it was cool, man. And the whole podcast game, I've been in it for about 10 years now. So it's been
Can we talk shit on that company right now or no?
No, definitely not. They were super cool to me. I got nothing but great things to say about that particular company. My wife still works there too, so it's in everybody's best interest that we keep that
on a deal.
Yeah, we keep them unnamed. How's that?
Perfect.
So
that's
but no, they really were. It was.
What is this? What is this? Discover your red hat. Now, a lot of people these days have discovered a red hat, and
yes.
It's election season. You know which red hat I'm talking about.
I do.
Right?
I do.
Has that been an interference or a misinterpretation by audiences anywhere? I'm pretty sure, because I would suspect that would be a big thing. Am I right?
Yeah, it's not quite as big as you would probably think, especially right now. But I do get asked from time to time, is that because of that other red hat, or are you affiliated with the other red hat guy? And that's not the case at all. If you look behind me here on the other side, there's a red Supreme hat that's in a glass box back here. Mm-hmm. And that's really the birth of the red hat. I was giving a talk at the Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, just a couple of years ago. And I was wearing that Supreme hat at the time. It was a younger audience, and I was just trying to be cool, you know. And I gave my talk, and then I came down, and another one of the speakers, who's a good friend of mine, he pulled me to the side. He goes, "Hey, man, you know, why are you wearing that Supreme hat?" And I told him, and he goes, "Well, are they paying you?" And I'm like, "Well, no, dude, I'm a middle-aged white dude. They'd pay me not to wear their merchandise, right?" He goes, "Then why are you wearing their merch on stage? You need to wear your merch on stage." He goes, "But I love the red. The red makes you stand out. I can look across the arena and I can see you from over here because I'm about 6'3" and I'm about 240. So I'm a big, tall guy. And the red hat's just kind of like a beacon across any crowd of people." And that made a lot of sense to me. So I went home and tossed the Supreme hat to the side. I bought a $6 unbranded red flat bill hat off Amazon, and boom, the red hat guy was born.
Kept going with it. Now, when you saw that, you've been going with this for a little while now, right?
Yeah, a couple of years now.
So when you saw that other red hat come out, you just like, oh fuck.
Well, I think it was out long before me, honestly, you know, and it was out before I did my thing. And yeah, it's a concern. I mean, I flew out to California, I don't know, probably about a year ago was the first time I'd been out there since I donned the red hat. And I was so uncomfortable with the idea that I wore a white hat to the airport and was just going to put the red hat on when I got to the event that I was going to. And it was kind of funny because my business partner, Sarah Losi, she was flying in as well on a different flight, and I got there first, and we were going to share an Uber ride to the event center. And I was I got to the LAX, and then I went over to her terminal, and I was sitting in baggage. And she, although we know each other like IRL in real life.
But you were sitting on baggage or in baggage?
I was sitting in baggage on my baggage.
Okay.
And I was wearing a white hat. And she walked by me twice because she didn't recognize me without the red hat on, because she was looking for the red hat. So it's kind of interesting because I still run into situations where people don't know my name. But if you go, "Yeah, the red hat guy," they go, "Oh, yeah, I know who that is. I know that guy." But, you know, another example of it being an issue, though, is, you know, podcast movement's coming up in August. It's next month, you know, massive podcast conference. But this year they chose to have it in DC. And I'm not going because strictly for the reason that it's, well, one, Washington, D.C. in the most volatile election cycle that we've seen in our lifetimes. And I don't know that was the smartest freaking move. But on the other side is I'm never going to go to Washington, D.C. in a red hat. It's just not going to happen.
Can't do it now. It counts as a hate crime.
Yeah, you'd have to pocket the hat.
Yeah, it'd be insane. So if I can't go as my brand, it makes no sense in me going. So I won't be able to go.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move right there. But Larry, I've checked out your website before, and I see you do the branding of other people's websites. Would you right now, live on the Podguyz podcast, could you give us a grade, F to A, 1 to 10, however you like to grade it? What is our grade for our branding for our podcast? What do you got?
Kind of put me on the spot here.
Yeah.
Let me put together an invoice so I can shoot that over after we. No, but
he doesn't do it for free, Kevin.
Give me the URL. What's the website?
We got thepodguyz.com.
Thepodguyz.com.
Podcast.com. Podguyz.
And the website is relatively new, but just if you've been on the Facebook fan page and you've watched and listened to some episodes, I'd give us an A++, but, you know, it's because I ran out of pluses, right, Tony?
Right. No, I got you. The thepodguyz.com did not resolve.
No, exactly. Because it's
the Podguyz podcast.
Tony, it's thepodguyzpodcast.com.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Go to Tony's Facebook and click on the thing. I don't know. It's on there.
No,
but
I'm looking right now. Here we go. So the Podguyz podcast. I'd probably give it a little work. If we were to work together, we'd probably want to spend a little time. I'm instantly partial because when it comes to podcasts, I make sure that none of my clients that I work with use any kind of cliche graphics in their logos. If it's a podcast, I don't want to see a microphone. I don't want to see a mixer. I don't want to see headphones. I don't want to see anything that's related to the podcast industry. Now, granted, you guys are the Podguyz, so it makes a little more sense. But at the same time, I'd probably do something a little more design heavy.
Okay.
We went miniature on the microphone.
Yeah.
Very small on the microphone for the thing,
Yeah.
and then just a little limited on the places. That picture that you see there, right?
Yeah.
That you see, those are 3 separate pictures I had to rip the background out of and morph all together.
Yeah, I can see there's some manipulation going on there. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's that took me about 3, maybe 4 minutes to do.
Okay. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it took you at least 2.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
not 2.5.
I had to take a shit in between time,
Now,
Well,
Larry,
no,
questions are pouring in from the audience members.
Oh, good.
And they said, ask Larry what camera streaming setup does he use video-wise?
Yeah, I use a Sony EV10 and run that into an ATM Mini and run that through my what is it? About 3 generations old Alienware PC back there. And then my microphone is a Shure SM7B, and I run that through a Rodecaster.
Ah, the Rodecaster.
Yeah, man.
What podcaster doesn't use a Rodecaster anymore?
I just, you know what? I fell in love. I didn't want to be one of these people that fell in love with the Yeti.
Yeah.
I got the Yeti XP right here.
I'm going to tell you right now, the Yeti gets a bad rap, man. As long as you know what settings to use on the Yeti could be a perfectly fine microphone.
This came with basically software, a little oh God, what am I trying to say here? This came with a software mixer type thing. So
Okay.
that way it projects my voice a lot better.
Mhm.
And I never liked them because they're a little bulky. They don't really look like a microphone. They look like a fucking, a dick.
I pick up on that. Yeah. Phallic,
it looks like I'm talking into a remodified dildo here. It just
I wouldn't have gone there personally, but okay.
Doesn't look great. You know what I mean?
Well, at least you're not DPing, which is good.
Yes. Yeah, I knew there was a DP joke in there somewhere. So
if it starts like spurting out, when it breaks one day, it's gonna look like it's shooting me in the face with something. But no, I fell in love with that. I looked at the Shure, and that was like $400. Give me a break.
It's a little pricey. Yeah, but I was in the voiceover industry before I got into podcasting, and so I've always been kind of a collector of microphones. And I've just the studio that I have here, it started off as a VO studio, and then it quickly evolved into a podcast studio once I figured out that I could say bad things on a podcast and not get in trouble.
Actually, I kind of do miss the old backdrop that you used to have with comic books. The Joker, Batman.
Yep. I used to have, it was all vinyl pops and some giant vinyl pops. And now if I could move my camera, if you look over to if you looked at the rest of everything that's outside the purview of the camera, my entire studio is a bat cave. I mean, there's bat paraphernalia everywhere. To my right, I have my Batman Lego sets that are all put together here. Even the most recent one is the Lego just released the Batman the Animated Series Gotham landscape. I just finished putting that one together about 2 weeks ago. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, it's still very batty in here. There's even a 3-dimensional bat signal on the front of the door. So when I shut it, it's you're in the bat studio. I've got a life size, actually larger than life size Joker. That's breaking out of the wall here above me. So yeah, it's very batty. I've got my here. I can pull this guy in. I have my Michael Keaton. What is this? 14-inch, 15-inch Michael Keaton Batman. Then on this side, I have my I think this one's 40-inch. My 40-inch Batfleck Batman. So no, I'm sorry, that's not Batfleck. My bad. No, that's Bale, but
that is Bale.
But yeah, so I've got bat stuff everywhere. And here, if you really want me to nerd out, here I'm gonna nerd out for a second. I don't get to show this off very often, like not at all. So
that's what every nerd says.
I know, right? So this is so cool. So I built this. I bought this as it was like a $6 bright orange like play school bat. I mean, the whole thing was like bright orange, and then I actually took a real grappling hook and I put it in the end, and then I antiqued the handle and metallized the rest of it. So I made all this out of like just stuff, and I painted it, and it's my actual back grappling, and I can swing from the rooftops of Gotham City. So
it's functional, right? Is it functional or is it
super functional? Super functional. I don't want to set it off because the wife gets mad when I put holes in the ceiling. But yeah, man, it's great.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, super bat nerd here, and then I've got all my, I have a bunch of the Todd McFarlane action figures here. Here's a Joker, and he's on his knees because he's begging Batman not to take him in. But yeah, there was a time when I had shelves behind me, Kevin, that was just filled with all of my Bat toys and a little bit of Star Wars mixed in, but primarily just mostly Bat stuff.
He's not quite Sparky level, but he was pretty close.
Yeah, that's all right though. But Larry, what were you doing in life before podcasting?
Before podcasting, well, I mean, when I left corporate America, I was a business intelligence analyst. So I was just a big time data geek, and I didn't really care for it. I was writing I say I was writing code. If the people that I worked with heard me say that, they would be laughing hysterically. I was attempting to write code, and I'm pretty proficient with SQL. So I probably even more than proficient with SQL. But when it came to anything else, I struggled quite a bit. But yeah, business intelligence was my thing. I had worked at that company that we mentioned earlier for 21 years when I left. So I was there for a long, long time.
21 years.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It was just supposed to be a pit stop too. I remember getting the job because I'm from Sherman, Texas, and I wanted to move down to Dallas. And I worked at Texas Instruments up in Sherman, and I was a training coordinator or trainer for TI there. And I was going to use that position to get me kind of an HR position at a small company, and then transition down to the big city and actually live downtown Dallas and fulfill that dream. And eventually I got this job after 7 interviews. And I told myself I was just going to hang out for a couple of years, get a little experience as their training manager over their distribution center. And 21 years later, I finally walked away.
7 interviews. It feels like the company is inefficient that way, or a little too. What the?
Dude, it was stupid. It was seriously, some of the interviews, more than one, was I would drive from Sherman down here. It's a small town called Coppell, which is a Dallas suburb. And I would drive an hour and a half down to Coppell, and I'd see the HR manager. He'd go, "Hey, thanks for coming down. Really appreciate it. We haven't made a decision yet." Shake my hand and then send me packing. So I'm like, what the hell? And the very last one, I had given up after 6. And my girl at the time, she was like, "Dude, just give him a call. Just call him one more time." And I did, brought me back down and offered me a position. I'm like, holy shit. Yes, please. And I loved the salary. I was like, okay, I'm in. I can move to Dallas on that. So there we go.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I know I know you said you weren't an avid sports fan per se.
Sure.
But you do like the MMA.
I do. I love MMA and combat sports. I know that what was it, a day or two yesterday was the Jake Paul fight. Yeah. Yeah.
Comments, concerns, problems. Do you think he's just a cliche? Do you think that?
Yeah, I mean, he sells tickets, right? I mean, he's got his fans, but it's all just nonsense. I mean, he fought Mike Perry. Mike Perry's vicious, man. Mike Perry is the king of violence when it comes to bare knuckle boxing, and I mean, he's 5-0 in the organization, holds their title. I mean, and he's a banger. But he's also
0-2 in the boxing ring.
Yeah, but he's also he's 30 pounds lighter than Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul beats up on tiny guys or old guys. That's it.
Yep.
And now we're looking at Mike Tyson, which I pray to God that fight doesn't happen. I was very happy to see that it didn't happen initially, but now they've got it rescheduled. And I mean, we'll see. But that's just
people do have this. People do have this like legend romanticism about about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, his best years, and this is most athletes, if you are a great athlete, you have a 6 to 8 year prime window.
Sure.
After that, it's chasing after those years and trying to get back on top. One exception maybe to the rule, and maybe not in some ways as well, George Foreman. Where
I mean, he had a nice little resurgence there, and that was fun to see. But he still wasn't in his prime, But he took on some real fighters, and it was more of a balanced approach to his comeback. Jake Paul, it's all just smoke and mirrors, you know. It's all grandstanding. It's designed for him not to lose. And hey, that's great. If you can bring in the money and you put asses in the seats and you sell tickets, hey, great, more power to you.
But he did have the Hawk Tua girl there.
He did have the Hawk Tua chick there. I was very impressed. I was like, man, spit on that thing.
Is it fair to say that Conor McGregor was kind of like the first version of Jake Paul that we saw when he's coming out there? Because Conor McGregor is one of the best MMA fighters of all time.
Correct.
Way past his prime current day. But when Conor would get in the ring in, UFC version, you had to watch the fight. When you put him in a boxing ring, and I saw that Floyd Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
You throw 3 rabbit punches in a row. I mean, 3 rabbit punches in a row in the first round, you're out. You're disqualified. That's it. You can't just do that.
That was spectacle too. I mean, let's be honest. That was spectacle. If Floyd was past his prime, same situation. It was a money grab, and they both, they got their bags and they did well, and people enjoyed the fight. I mean, I didn't pay for it, but I watched it. So
Larry, shame.
But just like I don't pay for a Jake Paul. I don't even watch the Jake Paul fights. Honestly, I'll check them out on pay-per-view when there's like an illegal stream or something, because there's typically an illegal stream that's almost just kind of out of focus or maybe zoomed in a little bit too much, and you see enough. You know what I mean? But I'm
whether
satisfied
it be on
there
like
with just
TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, whatever, man. I'm perfectly fine with that. You're not getting my money for that kind of crap. So, I mean, I don't even do it for bare knuckle boxing, and I respect the bare knuckle boxers, most of them.
Yeah.
But I'm still not paying for that either. The only thing, and God, we should do it as an exercise, because I've watched UFC since UFC 1. And I still remember exactly where I was, exactly where I lived, exactly what I was doing when UFC 1 came on. And I've missed, I never missed up until, I'd say, around UFC 250. I never missed a show. And to this day, I very rarely miss a show. And it's just been a passion of mine. I've had friends fight in the show. My goal in my 20s was to get to the show. I fought MMA back in the early 90s, early to late 90s as well. And it was just what I wanted to do. But I have a birth defect that I was born with that prevented me from doing that, because I've only got about 60% of the normal human being's lung capacity, much less a high-level athlete's lung capacity. And once
go figure, and you're in the podcasting world where you need to use every inch of that.
Yeah. And welcome to the big show.
Well, Larry, they should have just made your own division of other people that have 60% lung capacity.
Maybe we could just do like a ADA division or something. Maybe we could have. Yeah, I mean, now I've seen some guys come out. Yeah, and you're a lightweight, and I fought at 6'3". I fought at 155. So I was just
fight people that have been smoking cigarettes for a long time.
Maybe an OC.
Is that lightweight or welter?
That's lightweight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Philip Morris. Larry, what
is that? OCBD or OCPD? Is there the bronchitis disease?
Oh yeah, COPD.
COPD. There you go. COPD.
Yeah.
I could fight the COPD division. That'd be great. So,
if you had to choose, what is your entrance music for that as well?
Oh God!
You go back to your corner, Larry. They give you a nebulizer.
Yeah. There have been fighters that have done that and got disqualified. They're like, I didn't know. Yeah, you kind of did. But anyways, my walkout music back then would probably be something from the Rocky IV soundtrack. I mean, that was kind of my shit. Yeah, that was it.
Remember Rocky V?
Tommy Morrison was in Rocky V.
Rocky V. So for people that haven't seen Rocky V, okay, if you've seen Rocky 1, Rocky 2, those are back-to-back Apollo Creed ones. If you've seen Rocky 3, my favorite, Mr. T's rolling in there.
Clubber Lang.
Mickey finally dies, thankfully. What a scumbag. What a scumbag Mick was throughout the whole entire movie scene. He just was. Paulie made a good point, okay? He made a very good point in Rocky 3. He says, I'm your brother-in-law. He's like, I got to fight. I got to scrap out here. I can't even be offered a job yet. You give Mickey a place to stay. He made a fucking excellent point right there. That's no bullshit.
You're very passionate about this.
Mickey in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, he replaced
Rocky is love. Rocky is life.
First of all, it's an easy movie to analyze when you take emotion out of it. First, we're supposed to see it through the loving eyes of Rocky Balboa. For some odd reason, he trusts that Mick is a good trainer, and that is a sack of shit. First of all, a good trainer doesn't have a chase of chicken around. That doesn't happen. Whereas a good trainer doesn't. This is how you could tell he was a bad trainer. Apollo Creed asked Rocky about footwork in Rocky 3, and he says, "You've never done footwork before?" And he's like, "Oh, no." It's like, what the fuck are you? What are you training this guy on? Holy crap! So, and by the way,
I wonder why you sounded like a bag of marbles.
Apollo.
I thought he sounded just like him. I thought that was very impressive. Actually, that was super.
Apollo, by the way, should not have been like continuously, he's hitting you. It's like, dude, your buddy has brain damage. All right. You beat the shit out of this guy 2 times in a row. You know he's not responsive, but he's getting it in a little bit. He's kind of angry. He's still there. Rocky 4 he avenges the death of Apollo Creed, and then Rocky 5, there's something a little wrong about Rocky there.
He's even slower. He's talking slower, and he's having a real hard time putting words together. And
like, you know what I mean? Nick? And they're like, "That's Adrian," and they're like, "All right, he's doing it." So instead of like, he's so brain damaged, he's like, "I love you, my son," and it's like he's talking to Tommy Morrison. You're like, "Wow, this is what a fighter would do." He's not gonna wait for his kid to grow up and eventually he's like, well, his attention span is gonna snap over to what newer fighter that he sees and then try to relive his career through that fighter. We've seen it actually happen in reality. And I'm not saying that the Rocky character has been stolen from the Chuck Wepner idea, but it, feels kind of close, right? But Tommy Morrison at the time was an up and coming fighter.
Yeah, and he was rocking back then. I mean, he was crushing people back then.
Yeah, and he was unfortunately his career was cut short due to a misdiagnosed HIV diagnosis. Now, Larry,
he was also a very avid partier, and he partied his backside off a lot.
Well, you're on Rocky 5, man. You're swimming in it. You know what I mean? Like
I think he was swimming in it before Rocky 5 even hit. But
Sylvester Stallone probably like bumped into him, and he's just like, "Hey."
You're a big kid. Big great white hope is what we called him back then, So
it's kind of like pissing in urinals, only you're just like you're at an orgy and you're like, "Hey,
hey, you guys, what are you doing?"
Just now the cast of Rocky, but no, if you've seen Rocky before, look at it through that way, where Mick is some little Weasley scumbag trying to take everything that Rocky ever has, right? And there's one scene that Rocky actually has where he tells off Mick and he says, "You didn't want me to replace my locker," and Mick goes walking down the road being like, thinking to himself, well, he's smartened up and I'm caught. And Rocky says to himself, "You know what? I feel bad. Maybe I shouldn't have done that." Runs after him and apologizes. And that was the wrong fucking move. Absolutely wrong move all around. Mickey sent him back in there instead of going up to the ref and saying he's blind in his one fucking eye, right? Instead of doing that, the normal thing to do, your fighter, your friend, the person you trained with the chicken, can't see out of
a bag of laundry, by the way.
Get back in there. And then a TV commercial, Mick knocks on his door, Rocky 2. Mick knocks on his door, and he says, "Oh, we should knock his block off." Dude, go fuck yourself. Who the hell are you? I can't see in my one eye now because of you, and you proved it by slapping me in per one scene. Then he gives him a bunch of "I want to make money from Rocky" still fights in Rocky 3. And this is where Mick shows his precipice of scumbag, okay?
By the way, this breakdown is brought to you by Kevin Neary.
Jesus Christ. I cried to Mick. I still watch the movie, and when Mick dies, I cry.
Don't you cry for that scumbag, man.
And when he says, "Get up, you son of a bitch," because Mickey loves you. That is pinnacle, dude.
He has been manipulating Rocky his whole entire life to the point where now he's a fucking force ghost. He's just rolling up on him. No reason.
Not wrong.
Hey,
no, not wrong.
Stallone's just picking things that he likes. Like the force ghost thing. He's like, maybe Mick is a Force ghost. He's like a Jedi. He's like a Yoda. You know, you had Yoda, you had Mick, you had Karate Kid's Master Machui or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I've watched
Mr.
one
Miyagi.
Karate.
Remember the one where he was trying to drive cars?
I'm gonna get
no
I'm gonna get railed over for Mr. Miyagi. No one's gonna remember the whole Mick is a scumbag thing. But seriously,
yeah, you fucked up on Mr. Miyagi, and now everybody's coming. Especially because Cobra Kai just dropped. You know, Cobra Kai just dropped to get on Netflix. Came out a couple days ago. So, and Miyagi, even though he's passed away, he's a big centerpiece of season 6. So, no spoilers. I think it's still too early. There's still a spoiler embargo there, so I probably shouldn't say anything. But yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, man,
the ratings have plummeted for that particular series so much.
Well, it's interesting because I almost bailed. It took 3 episodes for it to start getting watchable. The first 3 episodes of season 6 are damn near unwatchable. They're horrible. But come season episode 3, maybe 4, it starts to get watchable. And now it's to the point where it's really watchable and it's got me intrigued. But I do hate the fact they split it up into multiple parts of the last season. So they give us 6 episodes now. They give us 6 more for Thanksgiving, and then I think 6 more in the spring to wrap it up.
Oh my God.
So it's like, Jesus Christ, man, that's bullshit.
That's like freaking Telemundo.
Yeah, but it was very difficult to get through those first 3 episodes. If they weren't like 22 minutes long, I don't know if I would have made it. So, but anyway, tangent on my part.
Well, what I'm just saying is Mick is a scumbag, man. And right when he was, Clubber Lang was right, by the way. He's like, hey, old man, you know, that was probably the best acting I've seen from one person, from one character forever when it came to Mr. T playing Clubber Lang. Because that motherfucker, man, he was Clubber Lang.
Yeah,
you believe it?
Yeah.
He owned the character. That he outacted Stallone in every scene. He outacted everybody.
I'll agree with that 100%. Yeah, he crushed that role. Yeah, he was amazing as Clubber Lang. His best role ever. Better than anything in the A-Team. Better than anything anyplace else. He was amazing as Clubber Lang.
You could have done Rocky 4 with Clubber Lang coming back.
Even Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, outshined. Just saying.
What you gonna do, brother?
What you gonna do, brother?
I think we have. I'll retouch base onto the Karate Kid thing. Johnny Lawrence character to start things off. When and they basically took it from an old movie theory where they're like, "Hey, that was an illegal kick," you know?
Yeah.
It's like, why should we be rooting for this guy? And the old movie theory was that Ralph Macchio's character was actually the bad guy. Here he comes in.
Oh yeah. He dude, he is such a dick in Cobra Kai. He is so unlikable in Cobra Kai, especially this season. He is the absolute worst. I told my wife, I said, I wish Daniel would just go away. Mm-hmm. He makes it literally unwatchable. But yeah, I can totally see where Daniel's the bad guy in that scenario.
I like it where, you know, Johnny Lawrence's character is then reflected in season 1. And this is kind of where it caught fire again. Because he's basically given the old retired athletes homage. When you see he's drinking a little bit, he's behind on his bills, he's still keeping himself in some kind of shape or whatever. Like, you have all these character traits that are all there. And, you know, he hates the current world that he lives in because he still is kind of stuck where
he's still in the 80s, baby, where it was cool, where he was the man.
He's exactly. He's still stuck in that place where he was the man.
Yeah.
In his day now is a fucking idiot. And, you know, where he then recruits some help, some kids and that. And, you know, the season 1 is where after that, I'm like, you know what? I'm stopping watching here. It's not going to get better than season 1. Season 2, I caught a couple episodes of, but I do have this theory, Larry, that there is no such thing of a show having more than 3 good seasons. The rest of them are all nostalgia and chasing other episodes and filler episodes.
Yeah, I can see that 100%. I can agree with that.
Like,
I mean, even if, you know,
what's your go-to show right now beyond, of course, that particular show?
Oh, man. My go-to current show is House of Dragon. You know, House of the Dragon, that is, there's just not much out there that beats that right now. It's freaking amazing. I mean, if you like a fantasy genre, it's so well done, so well acted. And the budget for each episode has to be, I don't know, $10-20 million because they give you hardcore dragon action. every episode, man. It's just it's amazing. It's so good. So that's my go-to right now that I just cannot miss. But I've been on an Archer kick for months now, and I've just been watching every episode I can watch of Archer, and it's just amazing.
I thought you were going to say The Boys for some reason.
Well, here's the thing. I was a big Boys fan for the first, 3 seasons.
Yep.
And season 4, I started watching and I fell off.
The shark jump happened right when Broadway musical Fourth Wall Broken was going on. Between Frenchie and the Asian.
Every time.
Yep.
Every time.
And you know it's over. Joaquin Phoenix, by the way, with Lady Gaga with this new Joker movie.
Yeah.
That is pure musical stuff. So they're basically waving the flag of saying, hey, we've broken down the Joker enough to the point where we're done with it. And we're gonna sing a song about this whole thing, which is.
Yeah. So I loved Gen V. I thought Gen V, the first season, was good. I don't know if the second season is going to be good or if it's going to jump as well. Probably is, since it's tied directly to The Boys. But I did love The Boys for the first 3 seasons. I thought it was amazing.
I was watching Gen V. I binge watched the season 1, and it's basically the teenage version of The Boys. It's the same formula that they're using, same storytelling. The storytelling is okay-ish, but if you've seen The Boys and you've seen this, there's not too much to shock you along the way. Homelander is still by far one of the best characters I've seen in a while, where you could just the arrogance just exudes from the action, like
it's so funny because I watch Anthony Starr in interviews, and the character of Homelander, it resonates, and he plays it so well that even when he's doing interviews, real interviews, I still look at him and I loathe him. And it's almost like, it's so interesting because I think he goes out of his way to be opposite of Homelander when he's giving interviews, that it seems disingenuous.
He has that feel of what like a Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We've seen these kind of tropes before where they're a very narcissistic type of character, and I think that they're cast so well by any director that they try to find somebody who's actually close to being the character. Because you can't ask somebody to act like anybody anymore. Like great actors, Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino. You have these guys. They're already gone, and when you ask the new generation to start acting, you're just you're asking a little bit too much. Like Tom Hanks, everything after Forrest Gump was just Tom Hanks playing a dude.
Yeah, and even 100%, because you become the character, and even the greatest actors of today, they're really just character actors because they're themselves playing a part, and they're not playing a character. They're not becoming anything. They're just rereading the lines or quoting the lines from their own personal persona. They don't adopt additional personas.
Except for the most recently watched Christian Bale in the movie Dick, right? Like he changed his.
He became 100%. That was an amazing movie. And I mean, Christian Bale, that's what he does. He's from The Machinist and everything in between. He becomes the role that he is. And I think it's who was it the other day that was. Golly, I think it was Ryan Reynolds talking about Hugh Jackman. No, it couldn't have been. It was somebody that was blaming somebody of being a character actor, and how do you put up with him being a character actor the whole time? And it was Tom Hardy. Somebody accused, there was a reporter that was asking Tom Hardy a question about being a character actor, because Tom Hardy is supposedly, when he's on set, I mean, he is that character and he dominates the set as that particular character. Mm-hmm. And he shut him down. He said, "No, I'm not a character actor. I'm an actor, and I define the role as I see fit, and I do whatever it takes to be that role. But character acting," he goes, I don't do that. But I think to a certain degree, most actors, even if Tom Hardy says he doesn't do it, I still say he does do it.
He does.
He knows himself better than I do, but he's just not going to call it character acting.
Yeah, because I think it's like the tone that he was probably asked the question, like, "Oh, how do you feel about being called?" Oh,
most likely. And Tom has a history of being snarky with reporters. He doesn't like a lot of the questions, and they do cross the line a lot of times. And I'm pretty confident that I'd be an asshole if I was in front of reporters all the time too, getting asked the same redundant questions over
ask
and
a
over.
good question,
Yeah.
ask questions with some meat on the bone, some substance. Now, like, how does it feel to, like,
Yeah.
good? Do you want me to say good? Because, oh, it feels great. You
Yeah,
want to see fucking Today Show? Like,
Yeah.
I've seen the rapper Pitbull. He answers questions great like that. Like, oh, it feels like such a blessing. Check that mark off there. I feel so blessed. Boom. By God. Boom. Like, he's going through the fucking list. Like, him and Ja Rule put together don't even have any street cred as much as me and Tony here. Like, we rolled deep with the the Bloods
Yeah.
and Crips, like all of them. We don't get picky.
Our 720 credit score is crazy.
It's out of off the chain, as they say. Well, we say, it's
that's very hip of you fellas.
You know who I'm a big fan of, and you guys will probably agree with me, but John Turturro.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he's underrated for sure. I think he's very underrated.
Very, very underrated. I feel like he's played some great, significant roles even through his movie career.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I'll tell you, I still love him and Do the Right Thing. I think that's one of his best roles to date. And it's almost disappointing me over the years, and I had no idea we were going down the movie route here, but that's fine. But it's really disappointed me to see him in roles like in Transformers. Now, he did fine in Transformers, but it's that comic relief type role, and I just think he's better than that. I think he's a better
as is Michael
actor.
Douglas, as is like that's the thing though. There's that clip of years where the only thing that's making a lot of money are Marvel movies.
Yeah, is that comic relief bullshit. Yeah.
And leave it up to Disney to buy high and sell low. Like, hey, we see you at the top of the mountain. Let's buy it. Like a rich kid watching a poor kid have fun with a broken toy. They don't know how to play with it right. What I'm saying is Disney can buy whatever and they still find a way to just make it worse.
Oh, they've destroyed everything that they bought. Star Wars, Marvel.
Disney's the shit out of everything.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And forget the whatever agenda that some people will accuse them of having, and whether you agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. It's just shit storytelling. It's shit movies. It's shit plots. The comic relief and everything is over the top, and it's not believable. It's not even fun. It's just not fun. It used to be a lot of fun, and Disney took everything and put their spin on it.
There were always those episodes back in the day, like of Family Matters or something, where they would have an episode, or like Full House or something, where they would have an episode of like a triathlon, and there was boys versus girls. And, you saw like, oh, hey, the girls beat the boys. And they're like, because we can do it too. And you're like, wow, oh boy, And it showed that sense of urgency to give an artificial push, because you're literally writing the script to do so. And which is fine. It's a good message to put out there. A bad message to put out there is The Little Mermaid, where she's very much giving the message to little girls that the only way a man's going to like you is if you don't talk and brush your hair with a fucking fork. Did you ever see The Little Mermaid?
Is that not true? Is that?
Well, it is true, Larry.
Is that a thing?
Oh. Hey, guys, don't tell my wife. Because, it's taken me 24 years to get her this way, and I kind of like it.
It's like for the scripts, The Beauty and the Beast, where they're like, we have a woman character. She loves to read, so everybody knows she's super smart.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then what? Okay. And she supports her father with her household and is so independent, she refuses to hook up with the richest man in town. Oh, great. Then what? So we eventually have her hook up with a horseman. Wait, what? Yeah. A horse, maybe a bull-like guy. Anyways, she's got to fuck him before, he turns back to a normal-looking guy. Like, you guys started off so well right there. Oh, and everything in the house also talks, and it's a toy, and we can sell it.
Well, I mean, that's merchandising that's the key to everything. It's what can we merchandise and what can we sell?
And how bad does the guy in town who is just like a little snobby, maybe a little arrogant feel, where it's just like, hey, did you see Belle? She's fucking that horse dude up the road just to see what he's like instead of you. Like, what the fuck? Whoa, dude.
That veered off on a heavy left turn.
I'm gonna need a sip of water.
I watched the goddamn movie. It's a bad movie to watch.
Oh, I know you did.
I'm wishing this wasn't water.
Larry, he guilt trips the beast, guilt trips Belle into the whole thing. He's like, when this rose is all done with, I die.
Bro, I can sing
Belle, I'd be
every
like,
song
dude,
to that
that's
movie.
cool. Have fun with your curse. I'll buy your house when you die. Fuck this. This is way too much drama for me. I'm out. You know.
I think my cheeks match my hat right now. This is something else.
Just throwing
veered off slightly. But Larry, if you had to name one of the top 10 actors, actresses that are in Hollywood right now that are so overrated, you cannot believe that they actually John Cena.
Yeah, brother, you locked up right there. I missed the question.
Oh, sorry. I said, if you had to pick a Hollywood actor right now, top 10 Hollywood actors in Hollywood, who are you going to pick, and why is it John Cena?
I think that's an unfair question because I think John Cena does a pretty decent job in some of his roles. I think he does. I think he does.
I think he carried the character of Ricky Stenicki very well, and there was not a lot of script there. I thought there might have been a lot of script there, but there was not a lot. There was more.
A guy that does not say no.
But he definitely doesn't say no, and he needs to learn how to say no a little bit. But I mean, my guy would be Kevin Hart. I mean, honestly, there's not a script that falls into his lap that he didn't go, yeah, I'm in. I don't even think he has to see the script. I think he just they go show up on set on Tuesday at 8 a.m. He's like, I'm there, and he's doing the movie. So that would be my pick. What is it that John Cena did, the DC thing, where he's got the yeah, great movie or great series. Sorry, not movie, but
horrible. I find it horrible.
You find it horrible? Oh my god, I love it.
You know what? The first season was all right. It was all right. It was watchable.
You can say it's horrible and stick with it. I never saw it.
Judge you.
Tony, why did you think that it's horrible?
Peacemaker. There we go. Peacemaker. That's what I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I thought Peacemaker was great.
Pros and cons of it, Tony. What do you got the pros? What do you got the cons? Because
all right, so they made him into a walking, talking joke, especially throughout the whole series of the show. Not necessarily for his show, but in the
Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So in the Suicide Squad, he was a walking, talking joke.
Yes.
And for his particular character, who wanted to be the antithesis character, prima donna, bad guy, whatever you want to call him. In the very end, it was a weird workaround for his particular character to be sold as the one
Secret
that
agent.
you can most associate with. Not for me.
I dig it. I can totally respect it. Yeah, I definitely love Peacemaker more than the character that he played in the Suicide Squad.
Correct.
So his character as Peacemaker in the Peacemaker series was much more fun than his character in Suicide Squad. But at the same time, we're talking about Suicide Squad. So
also true.
To be honest, if you're talking the worst comic character ever put on movies ever of all time, that you had a lot. I had a lot of love for this in the comics. He was done very well.
Yeah.
But in the movies, you're just like, what the fuck happened? Number one would be the Punisher.
Yeah, I agree.
What happened?
Yeah. Now, are you talking about Bernthal's Punisher? Because Bernthal's Punisher was pretty good.
Every Punisher movie.
His was a series. His was a Netflix series. Have you seen the Netflix?
Yeah, I saw it.
And you still don't care for that either?
Didn't care for it only because being that they made it into a series just makes the character look like he never has the ability to get over anything. Just
carries a lot of baggage.
They keep knocking the same. They keep knocking this. I get how trauma works in that, right? They keep knocking the same replay of like his family dying, his wife dying, all that nice stuff, right? And that is all you get out of the Punisher. When in fact there is so much more when reading the comics.
Yeah,
he wasn't just about, I'm doing this because my wife and family were killed. He's doing this to punish those who have not been punished. That's the thing, and that is never brought up as more as he's only.
Yeah, but you can't bring that up and put it on TV because you're never going to get that produced. You know what I mean? I'm going to punish those that have never been punished. They're not going to let you put that out there.
I would say number 2 character would be Spawn.
Oh, dude, Spawn has been so poorly done. And I literally just read an article this morning on how the Spawn movie is potentially, they've teamed up with Blumhouse now, and it's potentially going to hit in 25 as King Spawn. And I'm just calling King bullshit. It's never going to happen.
Throwing the flag on that years
ago. If it does happen under Blumhouse, it's going to suck shit. And if it's anything like Todd McFarlane's been talking for the last, I don't know, umpteen years, where they're going to have Spawn as more of a Spectre type being instead of actually Spawn, it's going to suck. It's not going to be the Spawn that everybody wants to see.
So Spawn had a couple.
Not only to mention, Kevin, I'm sorry, but Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is the lead character for that.
Yeah, he's going to be playing Al Simmons, supposedly.
So, like, Spawn kind of felt like the same stipulation as a Ghost Rider, okay? Because the devil has his soul, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, and then he gets so far, and then the devil just fucking plumb remembers, oh, wait a second, I could just, and now he's back in hell, and you're like, you got pretty far there. And you're just like, dude, I wasted my own time because I knew that, right? And then you just did a rug pull, and now he's like, oh, but somehow I'll not be here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the way souls are supposed to work.
That's not the way I've been trained up on souls.
Right. We're told once you got ownership of that thing, you got them.
And it's yours. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the Ghost Rider without a motorcycle thing. And Spawn really never found a direction. Every animation for Spawn, toys, collections, all that have been on point. And then they're like, oh shit, we have an actual story to write. Yeah. And they gave us a lot of money. Let's spend all the money on like 80% of the film, and then use the worst CGI ever imaginable.
Yeah, it was terrible.
PlayStation 1 CGI.
Yeah, it was terrible. Boss. That cape was something else.
What a garbage. And I would say,
I will say though, the John Leguizamo's portrayal as clown, John Leguizamo did a really good job there. He did a very good job.
He's a very good actor.
Yeah, but he's a dick. But
I always know. I
wouldn't throw him on very good. I'd throw him at okay.
Listen, he's a very good actor when it comes to remembering your lines, knowing his character, and portraying it on film, right? Having me believe that he's anybody but John Leguizamo is a whole other story. I don't, like he could be dressed up like, dude, he could be Luigi and Mario and Luigi. And I'm like, hey, there's John Leguizamo. Oh, well, never mind. He's supposed to be Luigi. All right, let's all sit back and.
I could see that though. I could definitely see it though.
For a moment.
I could see it so much that I thought he did that. Didn't he do the Super Mario movie? Okay. All right. Exactly. I was like, did he not do that? I'm thinking, okay. Yeah.
Where you're like, hey, never mind. That's John Leguizamo.
Yeah. That's actually him.
I know this is a movie.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the rest of America forgot that he did that too.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't, like they I don't know, it's just Venom, another character, just really cool on paper, but you get it out there, and then they tried this whole like Men in Black bullshit thing that I've seen before, and everything. You got to see Venom every fucking time. You got to see Venom. You got to see it. It's so new now. It's so much better. And then they did this little Men in Black bullshit. Now he's got a different head thing to him. I'm like, dude, what the like Men in Black.
I can't. I mean, I watch them. Don't get me wrong, and I'll watch. There's another one coming out, right? Yeah, where he's got the Venom, the Venom horse or some shit. I'll definitely watch that. When it's on streaming service or something. I won't go to the movies and see it by any stretch of the imagination.
Venom felt like it was more. It was like an evolved version of the movie The Blob. Remember the movie The Blob?
Oh yeah, I remember that movie. I used to watch it a lot as a kid. Yeah, I thought it was cool as shit.
So it was a meteor. It was a meteor from a different age, and then the blob kept getting bigger. So same scenario, meteor. Only a parasite's in this, gets in somebody's skin, turns them into something fucking crazy and evil. I'm not talking Peter Parker point at you fucking like that.
Not Spider-Man 3 Venom. That's not the right Venom at all. That doesn't even count as Venom. But
the only thing I can give that is that movie was put together in like a month, and they're like, I guess.
Once again, I don't understand why Disney had to interfere in the Disneying of not their character.
Yeah,
if that kind of makes sense as well, because I feel like even with the Marvel Venom movies, I feel like there was a lot of input put in there.
Oh, there's a ton. All that comedic relief, all the jokes, all the terrible jokes, Venom as the symbiote, making his little snarky remarks all the time, and Tom Hardy being all impish and yeah, all that's Disney garbage, and none of it needed to be there.
Yeah. Well, I think I do have. Well, they wanted to buy Marvel and all of its stuff, right? And they thought that included Spider-Man. Now, back in the day, Stan Lee got in some financial trouble. But one person that really wanted to buy Spider-Man and had majority ownership of Sony at the time, who really loved Spider-Man, was, drumroll please, Michael Jackson. So he floated him a loan with a specific contract that still gave Stan Lee some partial ownership of Spider-Man, but majority ownership was all on Sony's part. Once Jackson died, you got Sony where they're like, hey, we're making money from this now, so let's make some video games and whatever for our PlayStation, specifically for Spider-Man and all that universe. Meanwhile, Stan Lee is not homeless because of Sony at the time. Stan Lee gets up with the whole X-Men thing, and, motion pictures are coming out. Now he's floating in the cash big time. Disney buys it, and then they say, wait, why don't we have Spider-Man? And he's like, well, because fuck you. And, here's the long story over there. And they're like, okay, Sony, how much would you like for Spider-Man? And they're like, $80 trillion. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So, you get two rich guys at the table. That's why I don't understand. We're living in a world right now where we say to ourselves, okay, we got a lot of problems, world. Let's get the two richest people in the room together to solve them. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's going to work out really well for everybody.
Now, in the round robin turnstile, that is not necessarily superhero movies.
Okay,
where has Sony gone wrong in their movie magic? Because let's be perfectly honest here, their whole Spider thing is a flop from start to finish. And not necessarily that they've made movies that have introduced a main character with no main character.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you saw Madam Web. Did you watch Madam Web?
Ugh. Unwatchable. Unwatchable. Honestly,
I watched it just out of comedic value. I was looking for. I went in wanting to laugh the whole time.
Yeah,
and I didn't laugh at all. But it was
zero.
It wasn't even laughably bad. It was just bad.
Yeah,
and it's all in story, man. It's all in story. All they're trying to do is leverage IP to put asses in seats, and that's not how it works. The IP, no matter what the IP is these days, it's not strong enough to put asses in seats by itself anymore. You still have to have a good story. And I get so sick of all these companies that want to give you a modern version of X. A modern retelling of Spider-Man or a modern retelling of this. And they don't stick to the lore. They don't stick to the canon, or at least even a semblance of the canon. Because let's face it, the vast majority of the public don't know canon of any of these characters. They know just the surface level canon of the characters. Give us the surface level canon, because guess what? That's what the vast majority of the population wants to see. That's what they feel like they know. That's what they feel like they have a relationship with. And when they go in and they get something totally different, they're disappointed. And it's a box office flop. Go fucking figure. No one would figure that one out. I hate it. I hate it when I go to see a movie that's got IP that I'm familiar with, and I'm looking forward to seeing that IP, and I get something entirely different because it's a modern retelling of that property. Fuck off.
Yeah, like a modern retelling of Roadhouse. Did you see that?
Yeah, of course I saw it. I mean, Roadhouse, I grew up on Roadhouse. I mean, I wanted to open a bar because of Roadhouse. I mean, I still quote Roadhouse a lot these days.
My way or the highway, right?
Yeah, my way or the highway. I was on my break. If you're going to have a pet, keep it on a leash. The double douche.
Why don't you stay on that? Hey, Larry, why don't you stay on that break?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stay on it. Oh shit. Yeah, there's a sign over the urinal that says "Don't eat big white mint." It took me years to figure out what the fuck that even meant. I had no idea what they were talking about. I didn't know they were talking about urinal cakes.
The only world that Roadhouse can live in is the 80s.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. There's no way you could do a real Roadhouse. There's no way.
You can't, because they would be like, I'm going to call the cops, and they snip the wire, like, try calling the cops. Now it's like, cool. I also have a cell phone. And, I don't really need that phone over there. Just, there.
But yeah, I mean, I watched it.
There are some entities you shouldn't touch.
No,
And
they should have never done it.
There are some you really need to just get all the money for a Ghostbusters 3 that would have worked before these guys turned all Geritol looking and shit.
I literally just watched the Frozen Empire this weekend, and it was, oh my God. I personally had a hard time making it through. It was on the TV while I was doing other things, that kind of scenario. And I would glance up but dude, it's even though Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray were in it, and Winston, who plays Winston? What's his name?
Guy's name is Winston.
Well, the character's name is Winston, but
yeah.
I forget his name.
But anyways, he was in it too. So
Ernest,
Ernie Hudson. That's what it is. Ernie Hudson. That's who it is.
Yeah, he was actually very good in the Congo movie. Congo.
He was very good in Congo. I love Congo. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But just even with all their cameos, and they were more than cameos, even with them being in the film, it was still just barely watchable. And I saw again, I read, I don't know, over the last week or so that Peter Dinklage, he's doing a remake of The Toxic Avenger. And as it sits right now, they say it's unreleasable. They're not even going to be able to release the film. It's so bad, they can't even release it. It's going to go the way of Batgirl, and it's going to be tossed in the can and probably written off as a tax write-off.
Has Paul Rudd become the kind of non-script character filler? I know. Yeah. I basically call him a Jewish version of Ryan Reynolds, because he's such a nice guy, easy to, very, very much the same tone, mannerisms as a Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah.
Good to look at.
Not as good as Ryan, but yeah, I mean, he's not ugly. Yeah.
You could insert Paul Rudd, notice him, and not notice him at the same time. I'll give you an example. Did you know Paul Rudd was Phoebe's boyfriend in Friends?
I do know that, regrettably, but yes.
In those episodes where you are, and wait a second, did he do anything significant while being Phoebe's boyfriend?
No, never. No.
40-year-old virgin will fast forward a lot, He was in that movie as well, but significance in it, nothing really there.
See, now what's funny is I do not remember him being in that movie.
He was there. He was there. Yeah.
But I don't remember a lot about the movie. I mean, of course I remember the waxing scene, but other than that, I'm a little lost on that one.
Yeah, Seth Rogen was in it, Paul Rudd, just like everybody that couldn't really carry their own movie at the time. Sure. So they had to get around to Steve Carell, and he really, pushed him above and beyond. I actually want to make my own movie as a horror movie. I want to call it Hollywood Bathtub. The bathtub that killed Whitney Houston and fucking Matthew Perry.
What's wrong with you?
What, man? I don't blame. They were
guys. I appreciate you having me. This has been fun.
I blame the bathtub.
I got to go take a bath.
The views and opinions of Kevin here are not the reflection of the Podguyz podcast. And
yeah. It's a workable script.
And or Larry Roberts in this.
This one guy said he's going to make me a big star. He looks like Harvey. No, he's going to put a wig on and shit.
Anyways, Larry,
yes.
Back on you.
Yes.
Back on you.
Yes.
Red Hat Media. I know you have a couple books as well.
Yeah, I've co-authored one. I've written two. My most recent book is called Under the Red Hat. It's all about finding your own red hat and strategies to stand out in a crowded marketplace. This just dropped in January. So it's.
I was going to say, where can you find that lovely red?
You can find it on my website at LarryRoberts.com. You can find it on Amazon for purchase. So it's out there and ready for you. It's all about building your own personal brand.
How much is that easy to read book, Larry Roberts?
I want to say it's $9.95.
Ooh, that's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So
for a short $10, like you can be a heavyweight podcaster as well.
Well, it's interesting because I also have a podcasting book. I don't have a copy of it next to me. I actually have probably 500 copies in my closet because I thought for sure it was just going to sell like hotcakes. 6 or 7 years ago when I wrote it, it did not sell quite as well. Actually, it was an Amazon #1 bestseller in 4 different categories.
What?
But, yeah, but that's a bunch of nonsense. Anybody anybody could be an Amazon #1 bestseller. Just have a few friends buy the book when it drops, and you get 10, 20, 30 purchases, and you're done. You'll hit that #1 spot, take a screenshot, and you're an Amazon #1 bestseller. So it's
Photoshop, live.
It's just or Photoshop. You can do it even quicker. So, but that's a game. But then I also wrote this with my business partner in branding, because I own 2 companies. My second company is called Branded. And we wrote this do-it-yourself podcast launch workbook. So if you're looking
and
to
the
start
name
a
of your
podcast,
partner is
Sarah Losey is her name. Sarah, Sara, Losey, Lohse. And she and I started Branded. I think it actually became a real company, I don't know, February of this year, I think it was.
it's
That was
a
when
real company.
founded it and got the LLC and all that stuff put together. Because I mean, we've been working together for
yeah.
about a year and a half, but we went ahead and started the company, so it's the real deal there. So yeah, so I've got a few books, and then I've partnered with. I say I've partnered. I've been a part of. If you've heard of Ross Brand, he's big in the live streaming space. He writes a book every year, 100 live stream predictions for that year, and over the last 3 years, I've been one of the chapters in that book as well. So I'm very well published, guys. I'm super popular, and I've done all there is to do. And
Larry, you're so over it right now. You're like, fame, fortune,
it's terrible.
It's
podcasting. It's so profitable. Yes.
Where do you see social media's next move? Because we've seen basically, we think we've seen everything, right? We've seen TikTok. We've seen TikTok become Reels, YouTube Reels, and the whole 10-second dopamine pump where you're getting right to the juice. And I don't mind getting right to the juice, but if you could sit down and you could
get on the juice.
You could appreciate if you go from TikTok and then watch an old Bill Cosby stand-up where he takes a little while.
Oh yeah,
punchline.
Yep.
You can really appreciate the storytelling that he has, the ability and the stage presence from that point, because you're constantly paying attention. I do stand-up comedy myself. I've taught stand-up comedy before. When it comes to especially storytelling, I use Bill Cosby even during the scandal thing, because it was kind of funnier, where you can press pause. Nobody knows what he's really talking about there, but the chocolate cake story is another thing. But in the world of TikTok, there is a way to be funny fast, and then in the world of stand-up, there is a way to be funny slow. Bob Newhart recently passed away, and he was a good example of how you could be funny both fast and slow. His rhythm could change up in a snap of a finger, where you didn't know that was where the punchline was supposed to be, but there it was. Very surprising in every way possible. But where do you feel like the next avenue will be, or the next plateau, or the next step up or down of social media will be? If you have an answer.
I think we're seeing a whole lot of emphasis right where you actually hit the nail on the head with storytelling. Storytelling is where it's at, and I got to tell you that Dad is
Larry,
great.
This is what
Give
we
me
do,
the chocolate cake.
This is what we do.
What's that? Just tell stories. He got the yardstick like a samurai. But anyways, the beatings will now commence. Yes. It's one of my favorite stand-ups that I've in my life. Bill Cosby himself was so amazing. And it's funny you used him as a reference, because I grew up checking out albums from the public library, and I would check out Bill Cosby records. Bill Cosby himself, Bill Cosby, Why Is There Air?
By the way, here, we're going to introduce Bill Cosby on the show.
Yeah.
No, not today.
I mean, Chicken Heart is one of my favorite stories. If you've ever heard Chicken Heart, if you haven't heard Chicken Heart, go listen to Bill Cosby and listen to
Just don't listen to the whole album of Spanish Fly when everybody says, "We never knew." It's like, have you listened to Spanish Fly?
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, there was some great stuff there. But that's exactly what we're seeing, man. And if you look on social media, especially with some of the bigger influencers that are out there, you'll start to see now where, they don't just have 1 or 2 lines in their social media posts. You see more or read more, and bam, dude, they've got this entire story that they're putting in their social media posts. And then you're coupling that with a quote card or a graphic card with a high value quote from that story. And we're seeing engagement go up on those types of posts. So I think people are getting hungry again for storytelling. Sarah, my business partner, just released her book called Open This Book. a very unique title, and it's all about storytelling and how she uses storytelling to teach her clients how to get on podcasts and grow their influence and build their brands. So story, and her book just came out last month or month before last. And it's an amazing book, and she did a tremendous job writing that book. And it's all about, again, storytelling. I mean, she uses an example where she's known as the girl that got the penis tattoo. And she didn't get a penis tattoo on purpose. She went to Ireland by herself and was touring Europe and having fun. And she went into a tattoo parlor over there, and they gave her, she wanted an airplane because she was traveling. And well, they made the airplane look like a dick. So it looked, she was now the girl with the penis tattoo. She had to come back home and immediately get it covered up and get it fixed. But she used that story to get on one of the largest podcasts in the world called Bigger Pockets. Not Bigger Pockets. I'm so sorry. It is not Bigger Pockets. It is. Can we edit this part? This isn't live, is it?
It's on live.
Oh, way live. Way live.
Oh my God, I cannot remember the Stacking Benjamins.
100% credit. You made it through a penis on the arm with a
I know. Yeah, I remember the
that. No problem. It was supposed to be an airplane, but now there's a dick
I remember
arm.
Dick Arm, yes. But no, it was Stacking Benjamins. I'm so sorry. That's the name of the podcast. It was a massive podcast in the financial space. And she told the host of that podcast that story because she was trying to get her boss booked on this podcast, who he's a financial planner and he has a big firm and he's a perfect guest for them. But when she told the host of the podcast her story, he's like, no, I don't want to talk to your boss. I want to talk to you, because she had such an amazing, engaging story. And that got her, again, on one of the largest podcasts in the world. So that's what we're seeing, man. We're seeing where attention spans, people are longing for stories. They're longing for connection. And while at the same time, we still sit here, at least I know I do, and, we'll hang up off this podcast and I'll jump right on X and see what's going on in the political arena. So I get the latest and greatest news and I'll scan through some of that nonsense. Then I don't do a lot of TikTok, but I'll get back on Facebook and then I'll get on LinkedIn and I got to check I got to get my little dopamine hits, as you alluded to earlier, Tony. So we still need those, but that leaves that gap. And I see that gap being filled with stories.
Very concise and perfectly put answer right there. Like what we try to do on the Podguyz podcast is we go through some stories that you have to touch base on, whether it be Taylor Swift, Kanye West. Of course, Tony loves talking about Kanye West and all that. The
entertainment world has a plethora of go-tos.
And then, of course, we'll have a guest on such as yourself where, we want to talk about you as well and what you might think about those stories, get your background, get your front round. And when it's just, we try to make it a very easily flowing conversation. So that way, when people do tune in, they don't really have to feel like they're watching a show so much as they're hanging out with all three of us.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I love the format. I love this kind of environment. This is a very similar environment to what my first podcast was. And we took it a little bit deeper than this. Meaning we just kind of went over the edge a little bit further. It was very, very blue. And I don't even know if you know the name. I alluded to it earlier, Kevin, but my first show was called Accidentally the Whole Tip. And so we went deep with the tip.
It wasn't called DP by any means.
It was not called DP, but we definitely would be talking about DP on Accidentally the Whole Tip. I can promise you that.
And this is the podcast you got shafted from, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So, but it was cool, man, because we got to take it to a live stage show, and the stage show ran for about seven and a half years until the venue that was hosting the show got shut down. But it lived on. The tip lived on stage, and originally it was inspired by Kill Tony. We were actually, honestly, the stage show was kind of a complete ripoff of Kill Tony. But over time it evolved, and then at one point it actually became an open mic. And it was one of the largest, if not the largest, open mic in Dallas-Fort Worth outside of the comedy clubs.
Yeah, and it is a weird thing how you start off something as one thing and it evolves into something else and it just unravels to a degree or re-ravels or turns into...
it definitely re-raveled, yeah.
Yeah, like Tony, started this off way, way, way before I was on, and then, we ended up kind of clicking,
Yeah.
And
we kind of click.
I think it was magic, Tony. It was magical. We started to dock, You know, we were talking.
I'm going to use the word dichotomy. Dichotomy.
Oh, dicot of me. I got you. All right.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
What? Catch my, yeah.
And we're canceled.
Oh, look at that. It's time to go.
Son of a bitch. What the hell?
Larry Roberts, we do end our show in every way with the same way. Kevin asks an amalgamation of a question, which shall go.
No,
exactly
I will.
Like
well, now,
this.
Larry, we know that you have had success with and continue to have success with podcasting, book writing, marketing, and networking all around. You've been through the highs and the lows, but is being on this show, the Podguyz podcast, would you call this the peak of your career?
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going from here, honestly. I mean, I had a lot of travel scheduled starting early next month, but I think I'm going to cancel it because I don't know how any of it's going to live up to this experience that I've had this evening.
Zero. Yeah.
You heard it here first, everybody.
Yeah. This didn't cost me anything. I don't have to buy tickets. I have nothing. I just got to come on here and achieved every goal that I've ever had.
You come, you hang out in the bat room, you throw on a couple lights, you throw on your red hat, and boom, there it is.
And we're off to the races. I mean, I still got my PJs down on the second half, so it's all good. I'm gonna get off here, go climb on the couch, and go night-night. So,
well, at least you're wearing pants, unlike everyone else.
Yes, I am wearing shorts, but close. Yeah,
we have no pants policy here. Tony says,
"Yeah, no pants policy."
Yeah. I did not get that memo. Yeah, I didn't get the memo.
I should have thrown it in the email. I knew it. I knew it.
So you should put that kind of stuff in writing.
Yeah, no pants policy. Although I was going to have a nudist on here at one point in time, and she backed out on me. So,
oh, dude, I see. Like on Accidentally the Whole Tip, we had S&M professionals, we had porn stars, we had ambulance chasing lawyers. I mean, we had just we had a couple of Canadian girls. Man, I cannot remember the name of their band.
Before you're a porn star, and I hate the word, and you're like, if you're lower than amateur porn, are you just a porn people? You know, like, is there a
probably lower yeah? Well, I think it's just whore. Yeah. I think is really what it is.
I like how you go into the array of. We had people working in the industry. We had, people that were like working in this, and then Canadians.
Well, I was gonna. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't get to finish because Kevin injected something there. But I was saying that we had these two Canadian girls that were a music group, and they sang very filthy limerick songs, and they actually did a song for us called "Just the Tip," and it was a custom song, and they sang it for us. They wrote it and sang it for us. Dude, it was amazing. We had the coolest time over there, and I need to find that song because it was kind of folksy, you know. And then
Canadians are filthy.
It was done with an acoustic guitar, and I mean, it was good, man. It was a good time. We had so much fun over there. But yeah, man.
So what is stopping you from picking that back up again?
I think it's my brand now. I don't think it is definitely my brand now. You know, if people that look at me for answers to some of their biggest questions with marketing and branding and AI, if they then in turn saw the red hat guy over here dropping bombs and being the second coming of Andrew Dice Clay, I don't think it would work out very well. I mean, honestly,
Andrew Dice Clay isn't Andrew Dice Claying the way that he wanted to mature his comedy. He's just like, I'm different now, and everybody's like, great. And he does like 4 minutes of like, oh, okay.
Now he does TikTok videos where he asks people if he wants a picture.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like,
hey, man, you want a picture? You want a picture?
Once he gets past like minute 4, where you're like, all right, Andrew, what else you got? What's your transition from that? He's like, all right, never mind then. Nobody likes this shit. And
he throws into Hickory Dickory Dock.
He just
you got to go back to the nursery rhymes, man.
He snaps back to, so I was fucking this broad. Like, man, you had something. The Jekyll and Hyde thing, and there's more Hyde than Jekyll sort of thing.
I mean, my all-time favorite was Sam Kinison. I still just watch Sam over.
You ever hear about the time that Sam Kinison shot at Dice Clay at the Comedy Store?
I have heard that story. Yes. So a good friend of mine is the accountant for the Comedy Store still to this day, and he actually helped Mitzi salvage the Comedy Store back in the day. So he's told me quite a few stories.
Or like Jerry Seinfeld's dark set at the Comedy Store.
I haven't heard that one now.
So Jerry Seinfeld was told by Mitzi Shore that, he maybe not want to try comedy. And this is, by the way, he'd been doing professional comedy East Coast. So he goes West Coast, and he's like, so I'm told by this woman, I'm told by Mitzi Shore, I might not want to do comedy. I'm not funny enough. So he made sure to buy a house in the, a little bit higher in the hill where she lived. And when he heard that she was in poor health, right, he went down and did a bunch of dig jokes at her when she had to sell the comedy store. It was dark Jerry.
Wow.
Jerry can get really dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a couple different Jerry Seinfeld shows, and if you have that in your repertoire, where you can do a clean show at a church and then you can do a night show on the same area, but you have a dirty set as well.
Sure,
it takes a lot of writing, and you have to have a universal look to yourself. I've been able to pull that off. Because you have to have Jerry Seinfeld has that hey shucks kind of guy, like, well, haven't you heard about coffee stains? And you're like, what the fuck? What coffee stains? How's that funny? And then he'll make something out of that. So I was sipping on a coffee, like something to that degree. Here, Jerry's new thing was he was like, so I kind of knew the owner of this comedy club. She said I'd never make it. I say hi to her every morning in my Porsche. Sort of thing, but there's a lot of comedy club owners like
how your Jerry Seinfeld way turned into Donald Trump there for a second.
The Trump impression is prominent these days.
It's very much the same person. Yeah,
I was shot 15 times, 17 times. Some say 20 times in the head. I'd put my own head back together on stage, glued it, and put it back on there. I still gave the rest of the speech. I pulled out a gun, Matrix style, shot the guy from far away. None of you realize how good I am with a gun. The NRA is the best.
That was the best earshot that they've ever heard in their life.
The only N word I know is the NRA. They're the best N's. The R's and the A's. The A's are good too. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't even know what you're saying.
Did you guys see Shane Gillis on Kill Tony the other day?
Oh,
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, I was dying.
He did the
that
Joe
dude
Biden.
kills it every time. Like I like some of the regulars that they have on Kill Tony.
Yeah,
including Cam. I feel like that dude should have never become a comedian until he actually hit Kill Tony. And it was like the perfect timing, perfect place. Now, the one guy who does the phone.
Oh, the guy that can't speak. I don't know his name, but
I forget
talk,
his name too.
Voice is, yeah.
But he's been killing it on the circuit as well. But his big thing for Kill Tony was like, boom, killed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kill Tony was a big stepping stone for
you want
probably three, four like really funny comedians.
Oh yeah, Hans Kim, David Lucas are crushing it. I mean, both Kim Cogden, she came from Tony. I mean, there's a nice list there of people, and if you want to see somebody that failed miserably at Kill Tony, look for my episode, because I was actually on Kill Tony twice. And
were you really?
Yeah. Wow. Neither instance is memorable. So
okay.
Yeah, so I'm out there somewhere. But
well, we are gonna end the show on a high note, sir. You're failing miserably on Kill Tony.
It's okay to ride on a down note, It's okay.
No,
I don't have no shame in my game.
Larry, how would people reach out to you if they were going to see you on the circuit, sir?
Yeah, you can find all my information out at LarryRoberts.com. That's my website. That's my name. That's my everything. The Larry Roberts are my socials across every platform except for Twitter or whatever, and I don't post over there, so it doesn't even count. Yeah. But yeah, The Larry Roberts on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, you name it, across the board, The Larry Roberts, and my website's LarryRoberts.com.
Beautiful. Kevin, where can you find us, sir?
You can find us on all your major streaming platforms such as Spotify, iHeartRadio. We go live on Facebook every Monday at 10 or 10:15 p.m. every Monday. You can find us on the podguyspodcast.com for all your favorite show merch, Deezer, Spreaker. Just type in the Podguyz with a Z, the Podguyz podcast in your Google search engine. Hit the enter button, have some fun, listen to past episodes, present episodes, and of course, sign up for the Podguyz podcast Facebook fan page. More to come, of course.
Of course. All about branding.
Sweet.
Branding.
Guys,
Larry
thank you so
Roberts,
very much. I appreciate it, man.
thank you, sir. Thank you for all your time and energy. Guys, we're the Podguyz podcast, Podguyz podcast. Tune in every Monday night, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. We got some great guests coming up in the next couple weeks. So, guys, that's enough. Get some sleep. We'll catch you soon. Peace.